Welcome back. Uh, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I know I sure am. This is gonna be another tier list for Solo Leveling Arise, the hit mobile game, the number one mobile game of all time, actually. And we are going to be doing a hunter weapon tier list because someone asked me for this, and I want to look out, and I had to get to this eventually. So I made an entire like spreadsheet with all of the information, and that's what we're gonna be covering today. Uh, yeah, I will be doing another video for Sun Jin Woo's SJW's weapons, but I want to get these out of the way first. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first weapon we have here is Equivalent Exchange. This is Choi's SSR weapon. Um, it has a 5% attack increase, a 7% defense down, and also a really big attack increase from its base stats. And two of these are pretty much guaranteed if you started playing when the game first launched, and maybe even if you start now. Uh, just from So yeah, if you started playing when the game first launched, you do have a chance to get two of these from the dice roll event, which I don't know if they're gonna do every SSR's weapon that way, but basically you're almost guaranteed to get this to its first star. And honestly, with it being so accessible to get the two, I'm kind of gonna rate it with like 1 star added to it, and also just its defense down. It adds utility to the entire team because the enemy's defense is down for a little bit, and then it also does give him a lot of attack. The next weapon we have here is the Steel Shield, which decreases damage taken from boss monsters by 12%, which I'm going to be honest, let's put that down there. Like, this is just, like, this is something you put on because you have nothing else. That's literally it. It's got to the point where I maxed out one of the SR weapons. I maxed out this one. I just run this on 2 characters at a time whenever I use the hunter. So yeah, it's not the best. You really just don't need the defense increase compared to everything else. Just dodge. Next we have Unparalleled Bravery SSR, which increases crit hit damage by 5% when the user uses their specials. This is Seal's weapon, the blue-haired girl who punches very hard. So she gets critical hit damage by increased by 5%, and her specials crit damage increases on top of that 1% up to 20 stacks each time you use them. So in total, you're getting about 25% crit damage increase. And then, of course, its base stats are really, really good. I'm going to actually give this an S tier. Like, it's insanely good. 25% crit damage is a lot. So if you have good crit rate, it kind of helps you sacrifice some crit damage on other stats, on other artifacts. You can focus more so on crit rate a little bit more. And you do get bigger, way bigger stat buffs from the SSR weapons versus SR and R. So that's also something I'm taking into account. I'll put that in the S tier. It also really helps the character a lot. Like, it's a meaningful increase. Next, we have the Steel Sword, or the Steel Longsword, which increases weakness attribute damage by 12%, which basically means if you are running the element which the enemy is weak to, which you typically will, most enemies are weak to an element when you go fight them outside of special circumstances, and you typically are going to run a character that they're weak to. I'm going to give this an A. It's a flat 12% damage increase. It's always applied. There's no special thing you have to do. Like with most of these weapons, you have to do this. Like for her crit damage weapon, for Seal's crit damage weapon, you have to continually attack and do her specials a few times. But for this, it's just a flat attack increase. It's consistent, and Also for the SRs, I am judging them at max level, at max star. I think it's way more doable than even just getting one of most of these, to be honest. It's just way more doable to just max out one of these. I also think it's more fair that way. Just see it at its max in terms of just up to the 5-star, not the over limit. So we see what maximum stats you can get. Do take that into account. Next, we have the Steel Axe, which increases the user's core attack damage by 24%. Honestly, damage increase, but I'm putting that in C tier. The core attack is the attack that you do after you attack a few times. I'm pretty positive. So, you know how like in your attack bar, you have a little circle that goes around your attack. And once it fills up, you do your core attack, and then it resets the cooldown, and you continue going. Paired with that one artifact set, it could be okay. Like it could probably move from a C to like even a B or an A, but nobody's gonna really run that artifact set because no character. There's not too many characters or weapons that really can make use of that quite yet, and it's like you're gonna get a 24% increase on a single move once every 10 seconds, 10-15 seconds. It's just not great. Next we have the Steel Bow, which increases crit damage by 24%, like just flat. And honestly, S tier. This is insane. Like it's doing what Seo's weapon does, but it can do it for any character that wants crit damage. And because all these weapons are locked to a character, this is universal for all of your hunters, and it's a 24% increase in crit damage. No special conditions. Like the entire fight, you're gonna have this for all of your moves. As long as you have the crit rate to go with this, you'll be good if you're doing a crit build. I think this is probably one of the best SR weapons in the game. Very useful. Next we have the Intercept Bow. It's Lim's weapon, if I'm correct, and a 4% dark damage increase, 6% attack increase, which stacks twice every time you use his Q, and it lasts 30 seconds. So altogether, if you have all of this combined, you're getting 4% dark damage, and then your flat attack percent increase is about 12%. Added together, you get about a 16% crit damage. I'm not sure how elemental damage stacks with normal attack. I think it's better to have them separate, actually. And his condition isn't hard at all. You're going to be using that Q move because you do get an attack boost from it anyway. So it's just adding on to that sort of. It works really well with his kit. It's genuinely pretty solid. A tier, yeah. I had this down as A tier, and thinking about it, I definitely agree. I don't think it's quite as broken as these, or like it doesn't really like you're getting similar kinds of damage, but this is just a greater increase. All of these are, I think, in general, and this has more utility to it. This is pretty flat. You're getting 16%. Next we have the Steel Staff, which when the user uses QTE charges power gauge, when the user uses their QTE, it charges the power gauge by 12%. Honestly, C tier. You're not getting much usability out of this. This is a much worse version of another SR weapon, which is this one. It's much worse, significantly worse, actually. So much so that I'm surprised that they made this a weapon. I almost want to put it in D tier. I have it in C, but I genuinely don't see a use for this comparatively to this. And even a R weapon, there's R weapons I would recommend over running this, because this gives you your power gauge, but this gives you like a 12% increase only when you use your QTE. Like that's once every rotation that you do with characters, and it's only a 12% increase. You'll see why I'm putting that in D tier when we get there, but Yeah, definitely. Next, we have the Steel Dagger, which is a 16% basic attack increase. This is gonna be our first B tier. I think for hunters, they're very skill oriented for the most part. All of them, even Co, who is the one who's like the one of the bigger brutes, I'd say. You're popping her Q and her E as much as possible, and I think for most of the hunters at least, because for Sung Jin Woo, this is the way basic attack affects your gameplay is very different from the hunters. The hunters, you really are like they're skill ponies, you know, like you pop their skills, you do a rotation, then you switch out into the next character. You're typically not auto attacking too often unless you're killing like trash mobs, but yeah, a 16% increase is still really good. In the future, I could see it being more useful if we get a hunter more focused on basic attacks, but for now, that's where I'm gonna have to put it. Next, we have uh, a very weird weapon that's like glitched right now. So this is Eternal Slumber. Uh, it's I can't remember the guy's name. It's the healer who uses the mace. It's a mace. Uh, and yeah, it's kind of weird because in its description, it just reads 0% HP increase, which is very confusing. Like I don't know what that percentage is supposed to be. You do get HP from it, like flat HP, but I don't know what the percentage increase in the kit is supposed to do because this would affect his healing and everything. So, and outside of that, all it does is team gets 4% damage increase on his ult, which I mean, okay, a 4% damage increase on ult really isn't doing too much until we figure out what that HP percent is, because it could increase his healing a lot possibly. But until now, putting it in B tier, um, I it's a weird glitch that they or just mistake a typo that they haven't fixed quite yet. I'm sure for the full release they'll have caught that. Next we have uh, Night Thoughts SSR, which is Emma's weapon. Uh, Damage after break goes up 4%, and you get a 1.5% damage increase from heat absorption attacks. Four times. Yeah, you get that stack. It stacks four times. And it also has a big HP stat increase in its base. So you're getting a lot out of the weapon. I'd honestly rank this an A tier. It's really good. It adds a lot to her kit. Uh, it doesn't have anything that really pushes it, like even damage wise, to really reach the S tier level. Like these are all much bigger increases in damage, in my opinion. But I do think it's really good. Um, okay, next we have the Ancient Grimoire, which is a 32% power gauge acquisition rate increase. When I tell you this is fucking broken, I mean it's broken. Like, I actually so your acquisition rate for your power gauge is like your ultimate move with the hunter. And this increases it flat 32% the entire battle, no matter what you're doing. If it increases your power gauge, is up 32%. And if you pair this with the other set, the artifact set that lets you charge your ult, I think 40% faster, you're just ulting all the time. This is really broken. And honestly, I put it like that. And it might be, and there are occasions where you might want to run it over maybe some people's signature weapons for sure. Like over here, there could be a case, depending on like the kind of battle you're doing and everything, that you might run this weapon over other weapons. With paired with that artifact set, it's so broken that it's just hard to like not recommend that. And now you guys see why I put this one so low, because this is also an SR, but it does what this does unconditionally at a much higher percent, like much higher. So yeah, if you haven't leveled this weapon, trust me, try it. An open hand is next. Uh, it increases when damaged by 4%. Basic skill damage goes up 3%, and it okay. And that oh, okay. The basic skill damage, sorry, increases by 3%, but it stacks up to 4 times. Uh, and then the weapon comes with a big defensive stat, like all SSR weapons. I rank this A tier. I think it's a pretty middling. It's a pretty good weapon. I don't think it's as good as these two, but it's genuinely good. Standard stuff. I don't think it's really special, but because of its stats, it kind of just it's not on the same tier as like stuff down here. Uh, Next we have Suppressed White Tiger Soul SSR, which is for the SSR we just covered was for Huang, by the way. Uh, or Huang's brother, I should say. I'm bad with the names, all right? But Huang's brother, really big, beefy dude with the glasses. He's Wind Element. This next one is for Bayek. It's called the Suppressed White Tiger Soul. It's a 4% light damage increase when attacking targets with white flames effect. Increases defense by 5%. And then it adds a defensive stat. Has a 30-second cooldown, but it lasts 20 seconds, so it's really like a 10-second cooldown, to be honest. But it really doesn't have giant stats, to be honest with you. Like it's not adding much. I don't know why they weren't cooking with this one, but they weren't cooking. It definitely adds to the character, but I don't see it really applying too much in addition to it. You can 100% live without it. Honestly, for his weapon, with how low like the stat increases are, I low-key would just recommend this. And I would recommend the Grimoire and just get more ults in there and like keep the rotation going, to be honest with you. We don't need his cooldown, the stat increase lasts so long, but like he's not gonna be on the field that long. So next one is it's called On a Different Level. It has a 2% defense ignore. Meditation of Power increases damage dealt by 5% to whatever target it hits for 3 seconds, and this effect stacks 3 times. It has a really short uptime. This is for the guy we got for free. Anyone wondering? He's like the Wind Elemental guy with the suit. I'm gonna put him in like low A tier. I don't think it's really like his uptime is super short, and I think it's just like a quick increase to whatever attacks you're doing. But it's pretty low stat increases comparatively to the rest of these up here, or around the same as these, but it doesn't last quite as long. Next we have Solid Logic, which is for the girl with the glasses, which you could have gotten her for free, sort of, if you paid in the store like $1 a day or whatever. So the staff, she increases attack by 2.5%, okay? And the Strengthening Charm, which is one of her special abilities, increases crit rate and crit damage taken by enemies by 2.5% for 10 seconds. And that's it. This is increases crit rate and crit damage, but 2.5% is such a negligible amount. Honestly, I think she has the worst SSR. I genuinely think she does. It's just not cooking. Like it's such low percentages, like a 2.5% increase and then a 2.5% crit damage and crit rate increase. I think this does extend to like the entire team, but even then you're getting the 2.5% attack increase only goes to her. And then if let's say you switch to make use of the 2.5 crit damage and crit rate that the enemy will take, That's a 2.5% increase in damage, which that's horrible. It's genuinely bad. The only thing keeping it up here is that it's still a stat stick, and you get like a bunch of stats for her through it. But it's pretty. It's the worst SSR weapon. I don't even think it's close. It's not even close. I think it's the worst, even considering like all of Gen Wu's weapons as well. It's easily the worst weapon, the worst SSR in the game. Just like she's kind of one of the worst SSRs in the game. Next we have Essence of Magic. This one has a 24% power gauge acquisition rate. So this is sort of like the rare version of the previous Grimoire. The reason this one is down here, 24%, it gives way less stats. Like the base stats are way less, and then the acquisition rate is less. But it's still really good for all of the same reasons that the Grimoire is good. It's just less effective, if that makes sense. But I am putting it in B tier, and I still think it's more useful than that, and maybe even this weapon, to be honest with you. But I definitely think it's worth running this over any of that. Next we have Bow, which is a 18% crit damage increase. Also putting this in B tier. Great for all the same reasons the bow is, the SR bow is, or I think that's just called steel bow, right? And same reasons, just lower base stats that you get from it, and then lower crit rate or crit damage increase. But it's still insanely good. I would run it over this, over any of those easily. And of course, we're talking about these maxed out, like I had said before. So if you have it maxed out, 18% crit damage right there. Next we have it's just called Sword. Weakness attribute increase, similar to the sword over here. Definitely 2 tiers down. This is a flat 9% attack increase, like if you're attacking an enemy weaker than you, or weak to your element, I should say, not weaker than you. So yeah, solid, good for the same reason this one is flat. No like arbitrary thing you have to do. You just get that damage for free, and you keep it throughout the entire fight. Next we have Dagger, basic attack increase 12%. I have this in D tier, same as this Dagger, just less stats. 12% basic attack increase isn't really doing anything for hunters. It's pretty useless in my opinion. I would actually maybe even put it here. Next we have the Staff, which is when using QTE skill, charges power gauge by 9%, which is horrible. It's this weapon, but worse. I mean, I don't even have to explain. I kind of went into that. It's just completely outshined by its counterparts, which are right here and right here. Like, one of them are the best hunter weapons in the game. And, like, it's just not competing, I don't think. Next, we have Shield, which decreases damage taken from boss monsters 9%. Equally as bad as this one. Way worse than this one, honestly, because at least this gives more stats. And then the Hatchet, which is the core attack damage up 18%. I'm also putting that in D tier, and the order of these really doesn't matter much. How would I organize these weapons? I think this is pretty accurate. I think this might be, you can move either whichever one you want more. If you're running the ultimate set, this one. If you're running anything crit related for them, this one's better. Like, let's say you don't have Choi's weapon, you're obviously running this with the ultimate artifact set, and he's just, oh my god, man. Like, and then if you have his first star where he drops the meteor after, it's insane. Like, your DPS is going through the roof. But then if you're running a crit build on literally anyone else, this is probably more universally good. Actually, no, this one's more universally good, but this one's really solid for DPS. Yeah, I'm actually happy with this list. I think this is accurate. Would I put this? The flat attribute damage is really good. I'd put it like here. And I think I would keep the rest of these how they are. For sure. But that's it. Let me know what you guys think. If you agree with the list, I will be back to do the rest of these probably tomorrow or something like that. I really want to get back into AFK Journey. I'm so sorry. I started playing it just to check it out. Everybody was talking about it, and I actually like it. It's really cute. Very simple. I also have to play on my free to play account for solo leveling a rise. I'm trying to get like more perspectives on like other weapons and stuff like that because you just don't have resources to build all of these. On my main account, all of these aren't built, like not even close. But having a free to play account, I see like how weapons and stuff perform at a lower level or more relatable level. And yeah, this is the list and peace. Hope you guys have a nice day. Thank you for watching.